Okay, we're ready to go. Go ahead, JC.
Yeah, I see we're streaming. So just a reiteration, I don't know if someone might have joined since I think we are recording. So feel free to keep your camera off or on, whatever you're comfortable with, and change your display name if you'd prefer not to have your full name recorded. So I'm JC. You may have seen me a few times already. I tend to do some technical little classes every once in a while. Today, this is our fitness apps class. That is kind of a vague title. So I hope you guys are ready for just kind of a general overview on fitness in general and apps that you can use for it. So I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing. See if I can do that properly. All right. Have I done it? Perfect. Okay, so like I said, fitness apps for all aspects and levels of fitness. So that to me means that we can cover different variations of fitness. So when you think fitness, you might think working out immediately. That's not necessarily the case. That could be fitness in just eating a diversity of foods, making sure you're staying hydrated, making sure you're sleeping well, just general fitness to keep you in shape. From home or outside of the home or wherever you may be. So, and that can be any level as well. I have different apps for beginners up to more advanced options. So, see, there we go. So what is fitness? Like I said, that covers a bunch of different things. Specifically, I broke down the types of apps that we'll go over today into a few sections you'll see here. So we're going to talk about yoga, which is more of your stretching. The apps I found are specific to yoga, but I will talk about stretching tips using apps, cardio, workouts, so that's your traditional fitness workout, fitness trackers to just see if you've done your fitness or not, if you want to keep a log of that for your own goals, food trackers, hydration trackers, and sleep trackers. There's a lot of apps out there, so there's a lot of things for you to try. Just an overview. Let me see. Okay, I didn't do a slide for this, but just an overview. A lot of these apps, there's different versions that all do kind of the same thing. So it's really trial and error for what looks best to you. Some of the hydration trackers, for example, have a cute little plant that you can watch grow. Some of them just have a pie chart to show you that you've drank enough that day or not. So it really depends. And I don't recommend that you do all of these aspects unless you really want to be regimented. In general, just if you want to work on your flexibility and your hydration, you can have a yoga app and a hydration app. I really don't recommend downloading every single one of the apps we talked today because your phone will get very overwhelmed very soon. So just cherry picking what looks good to you and just trying it out. So let's get started. So for yoga, this is just a general like stretching yoga type of app options. For beginners, there's yoga for beginners, which is pretty self-explanatory. I will say, disclaimer, I'm not a health professional, so I can't really make recommendations on that front. And also, I haven't used every single one of these apps myself. The ones that I have, I will give you more of an anecdotal overview of those. But the ones that I haven't, I'll let you know. So I haven't used either of these yoga apps myself, but they were in the New York Times for being good yoga app options. So this top one is the Yoga for Beginners, and that one has different types. Usually most of these apps will have different subsets of the thing you're doing. So on this one, we have just general yoga, morning yoga, yoga to stretch out your back, and as you scroll down, you'll see more breakouts of types of yoga. And what you'll see through a lot of these apps is that there's going to be a list of exercises. Can you see my mouse, if I might ask?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So over in this middle one, you'll see a list of exercises, and that's very common for these types of apps. That'll just show you in general what you're going to be moving through as the workout or exercise goes along. And then they'll have a countdown and usually a video or at least a picture of the exercise that you're currently doing so that you can mirror what they're doing and do the exercise with them. So that's kind of a general idea. So this yoga for beginners is a good way to start with a nice stretch. If you haven't done yoga in a while, it can refresh you. Once you kind of become more comfortable and you want more of a challenge, Lotus Yoga is another option. This one I think is a bit more of a paywall though. You'll find that with some of these apps where you do have to pay to unlock certain features, but it is more in depth and has more targeted areas, as you can see by these different breakouts. And they also have workouts based in yoga. So the first one was more stretching and just kind of improving flexibility and general health. The Lotus Yoga is more for yoga workouts and more complex exercises. So there are the yoga ones I found. So cardio, I really like all of the options we have in apps for cardio. So the first one, the first three actually are all by Under Armour. They have the same interface. So these first two screenshots here are gonna give you an idea for all three of those. They're Map My Walk, Map My Run, and Map My Ride. So the first one is if you're more of a walker, you're kind of starting out in your cardio journey, or you just want a low impact way to do cardio, you can start with Map My Walk. So that'll give you some, in each of these, they'll give you options for routes. Those are usually routes that people in your area have completed. So they've kind of timed out and recorded the distance of those routes, and they're reliable routes that people have done. So you know that they're going to be a good option for you. They'll have these different random distances. You can look through the distance. You can go by, I think you can also see how soon someone else has done it. So you know if maybe there's been construction, you can pick more of a recent route. So it has all these kinds of features to help you pick your route. And then as you're running, you'll start your workout and it will track your distance, location, the time that you've been going, and the pace that you're walking, running, or riding at. So it's a really convenient app. I've used it all the time. You can connect with your friends. You can share your workouts. You can do challenges on people like all participating in who can walk the furthest, who can walk the most often, things like that. So there's the walk, the run, and just to explain, the ride is for bicycles to my knowledge. So that would be if you're an avid biker and you want to have your 26-mile bike route, it'll have that in your app there for you to use. So those are the first three, and then we get into some interesting ones. So I found Zombies Run, which is an interesting option for cardio, because as you see on these red and gray screenshots here, that's going to be your type of story or mission, and then there's a list of missions to the right of it. So you can pick what you're doing. Is it a fuel run? Are you recovering someone? Like, why are you running? And I haven't been able to use this myself, but I heard in another New York Times article that it will play like a commentary to tell you like the zombies are coming, or you see this or you see that. And it's kind of a narrative as you're running to like make you feel like you're running for a reason. Because there are so many people out there who say, I'll only run when I'm chased. Well, you're being chased. So it's a great app for those people. And then on the far end, you do see your route there. It gives you distance. It tracks the movement, the time, the pace, all that kind of stuff, just like Map My Run does. So it's pretty informative as well, besides being an interesting narrative. So with that, there are some unconventional ways to still implement your cardio goals with more of an incentive. So on this bottom left section here, we have some screenshots from Sweatcoin. These are actually from my own account. It says 0 steps because I had just set up the app on my new phone. I promise I walk more than that. So it'll track your steps using other apps and then that app itself. It'll just connect to the step counter in your phone. And as you walk more, you gain sweat coins. And once you get sweat coins, you can trade them for deals on common products, usually like skincare stuff. BarkBox has been on there a lot. If you save up a ton of sweat coins, then you can win trips to Disney, but that's like a bit more long-term goal. I've had this for a year or two, and I'm at that 1,239 balance that you see there. So, and that's me barely doing the daily bonuses, barely cashing out, and I'm still collecting that much. So it's just a nice little incentive to get your steps in, if that will help motivate you. Another thing that I've heard is kind of more of a well-known secret, so I'm not sure if I should be revealing it here, but there is the geocaching app that you can download. There are basic features that are going to be free for you. If you do pay for premium like I have, you have access to more geocaches that you can find. And it's a way to get out and kind of do a bit of hiking or just urban walking. There are some in Iowa City proper that you don't have to go too far for. As you can see on this cluster here, that's just on either side of the river, I think close to downtown. I can't remember where I was when I did this screenshot. I think it was at the library, actually. So on there, you'll see all these pins, and those are different geocaches. So once you click on one, you'll see this screen that's on the right here. And it's a little hard to see right now, but it'll show you how to get there. You can log it. You can also read a description, read other people's messages about that place. I went to one and they had reported in there that the lock container was actually broken. And when I got there, I was able to affirm that. And I was like, it helped me know what I'm looking for. So there are a bunch of different features on here. The point is once you do reach your geocache, there is a log for you to write your geocache username on. And then you can like trade out. They're like a little container, so you can trade out things. I have like a little stash of masks that I will put in and then like maybe take something out if there's something cool in there. So it's just a really fun like secret society type way to get in your cardio. All right, so with those cardio apps, does anyone have any questions since I have used a few of these before? All right. And if anyone has any questions, Stacy's monitoring the chat, I'm hoping, and then you can always unmute yourself and jump in at any time. So now we're more into the traditional workouts that you may have thought when you first heard about this course. So I did hear from the New York Times again. They have a lot of great lists for top apps. They have a 7-minute workout app that they recommended, and I think they also helped create it. So with that one, it's a fairly standard workout app that is similar to a lot of them, but I think it's got really great quality at its free level. So there are always pay levels in these apps. But for free features, it looks like you have a lot of customization. I haven't used this myself, but it does look like a very good option. You can kind of repeat your exercise if you want a longer exercise that's more focused in on specific exercises. You can time how long you want to do those exercises. So if you want to do like a more quick, fast-paced turnover of your exercises, you can do that. You can time your rest. If you're just starting out, you can have a longer rest. All that kind of stuff on here. And then on the right, you can see what I was describing with the yoga app, where they will have you doing the exercise for that countdown amount of time. And then they'll say what it is, and they will have like a little figure either doing it or a picture of the steps of the exercise, so the down and up of the jump jack here. So that's the 7-minute workout. That one's more general to my knowledge. It doesn't necessarily break it out as much. What I've personally used, especially when I was in college and I had time to just stop in at the rec center, I would just go in there and I would go on my phone and pick out some workouts, do them really quickly, and then leave. It's a really great way to get in your little workouts, is the Fitify suite of workout apps. So this is just the ones that I'm aware of, and I actually found more while I was working on this class. So there's things like warm up and cool down, which is all one app, which is really convenient. Abs and core, which is essentially the same thing. And then they have some based on equipment that you may have. So if you have a medicine ball, a Swiss ball, resistance bands, anything like that, they have apps to format workouts around those. They also have your general lower body, upper body, your cardio, and your stretching, which is a good addition. And with this, like if you just need help with, you don't know what to do with the resistance bands that you have just like in your closet, you can look at this and it'll tell you some ways to use them. With those, there is a general Fitify app, which is pictured here. That one is very heavily behind at paywall. You would have to really like the app in order to use it. I downloaded it and this was my recommended workouts, and all of them had this orange Pro button here, and that means that you have to pay for them. So I don't recommend the Fitify app itself, but I will be showing you the breakouts of the different apps that are a lot more beneficial. And just to show you an example, on the right here, this is how they format the exercises in that one. I really enjoyed doing it this way because there was a back and a forward option. So if I missed an exercise, like I fell out of my plank right away and I was getting a drink of water and I didn't really start it, I can back up and do it again. Or if they've given me Russian twist for the 12th time in a row, I don't want to do it, I'm just going to skip it. So it's pretty helpful in that interface. And that all those features are just accessed on the free version of any of the apps that you'll see when I flip over. So these are pretty much all of the apps that were there. I'm just showing you all of these different options because these are all their own separate apps, so you can pick and choose. And you'll see that there is a bit of overlap. So over here with the medicine ball and the resistance band, there's going to be these same things. So there's full body, shoulder and back, etc. So whatever fits for you, whatever equipment you have, whatever area of the body you're targeting, you can just get one app to help you out with that, and you don't have to have one big app that just has general stuff for everything. So I find it really helpful in that regard. Up on this top left corner, we can see the premium. This is on one of the apps that I haven't bought it for. I've actually purchased quite a few of these apps because I do find them so helpful. It is a $1.99 single purchase because you're just buying the app itself. It's not a recurring subscription, or else I would have gone broke by now because I would have forgot to cancel all of these. So thankfully it is just that single one, and what it does is it gives you access to customizing your exercise. You get more workout options, and then you don't have to see ads, which really isn't a big deal because I don't think they play them while you're actually working out. I think they're more like this on this top right. Yes, I know directions. On the top right, you'll see that Fitify ad right there. That's probably an app that I haven't paid for because there's ads, but it's not really intrusive. The main point of purchasing that one would be to customize your exercises. You can omit ones that are not helpful for you. Anything that stresses my hip out too much, I just remove it from the exercise queue. And you can order it. You can like put them in different order, choose what you need to focus on, all that kind of good stuff. So I highly recommend these apps if you do want to get in the habit of exercising and you just need help in one or two areas or with one or two different equipment options you have. So with all that said, does anyone have any questions about any of these random complex workout apps under Fitify? All right, it's all pretty straightforward. With this class, I was trying to be very general, just to give everyone some options. Everyone's looking for a different type of fitness. So as long as we all have access to that, especially since a lot of us are trying to stay home more often, then I'm glad to show people their options. All right, so fitness trackers, I put them in a different category than the actual workout apps because they will be more of a tracker of general fitness and did you work out or did you not, and calorie burning and all that kind of stuff in general, rather than telling you what you should be doing for your workout. So we have our smartwatch apps. I will say out of these, Fitbit is the most comprehensive. It was hard to narrow it down to just the 3 screenshots from that app because it has so many features. It'll count your steps. It will count floors. It'll count your heart rate, calories burned, as well as it can. I think you can also implement food and water intake, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can do your sleep tracker, which is where when you wear your Fitbit to bed and it kind of tracks your sleep cycle. So all of that is in one app with the Fitbit. I used to have a Fitbit. I'm kind of upset that I switched to a Galaxy Watch, but it was just better at the time. So Fitbits are really great if you are looking for a bit of smart technology to kind of keep you honest and track your progress over time. There also are Galaxy Wearables. That's the app itself. You have to have your different devices to connect them. I don't know too much about Galaxy Watch Active, but I think that's more similar to the Fitbit than the Galaxy Watch, which is more of just like a watch face and general step counter. So there are a few options with the Galaxy items. You connect it to your phone so it tracks all that stuff that your Fitbit would track, just to a less nuanced degree. And then finally, we have Samsung Health. I'm sure there's an Apple equivalent that I'm not familiar with, but it will probably look similar to this. With Samsung Health specifically, you can add your friends there and kind of do little competitions, which would personally motivate me. So I think that's a good feature. It also will track your food if you put that in. I think it also does track water intake as well. It's also a sleep tracker, an exercise tracker. It tells how active you are by your phone movement, I would assume, and it counts your steps just like every phone does. So there are some fitness trackers. These are more just to keep you honest if you are trying to work towards some goals. So food trackers. I will put another disclaimer here that I am not advocating for dieting or anything like that. The apps that I chose to include are more for informed food tracking and not necessarily calorie counting or any of that kind of thing. So for example, I have seasonal food guide, which will just tell you neutrally what is in season in your area. And for me, that helps because it will give you tips on how to cook it well. It'll kind of give you an overview of that ingredient, and it'll also help you save money because it'll tell you what's in season and therefore what won't be super expensive when you're trying to purchase it. So it's just a generally good thing to know to inform yourself while you are making your grocery list. And then the second food tracker app is more of an actual food tracker. It's called Rainbow when you just look at the app, but to search it, you'll look at Eat the Rainbow Food Journal. And it just helps you eat a variety. I really like it because it's got all of these colors. So if I have like a sweet potato hash in the morning, and then later I have a salad with carrots on top, then I've had checked off green and orange for the day. And it's just really satisfying to hit all of those different points. I'm not sure how accurate it is to determine your healthy diet by just eating different colors, but it makes me think creatively when I'm coming up with a meal to think, oh, what's a natural ingredient that's bright red? And then I'll go grab tomatoes because that's my favorite thing to add. And so it's just really nice to kind of give you that creative thought. And then when you pair it with the seasonal food guide and you're looking at both, you'll see on the seasonal food guide that there's an orange ingredient that's in season, and then you can add that to your rainbow food tracker. So it's just really convenient. Yeah, and that way it's not necessarily telling you about portions or calories or things like that because that differs per person. It just gives you a general way to think critically and creatively about whatever you're eating that day.
Casey, those sound like a lot of fun. I'm eager to see those. Those sound like they could add fun to trying to eat healthy.
Yeah, I definitely found it challenging. Purple, that's the hardest one, I think. Or blue, I think blue, purple and blue, like those coolers. It's so hard, but it's really fun. It's expanded my palette, so I'm glad that you get to download those, or at least one. So yeah. All right, I have hydration trackers. Like I mentioned, these come in a bunch of different varieties. This is one that'll really show you that there's no wrong answer, and you can just gravitate towards what looks best to you. So as you're looking at these screenshots, you might see one and be like, that one says coffee. I should download that one because I drink coffee a lot and I need to be able to track it. So it depends on what draws you. So we'll start with Plant Nanny, which has plant friends for you. These top 3 screenshots are going to be from that app, I personally have only downloaded it like a couple weeks ago, so I'm not very far with it, but it has been fun up until this point. The way that it kind of determines the amount of water that you should drink is kind of more generally based. It's not very nuanced and you're not really able to adjust it, which is a drawback. But on the plus side, that is a cute mushroom friend that as you drink, you will grow into a cuter and larger mushroom friend. So I think it's pretty fun. And then on this right side, it'll show you your history, which I really appreciate in apps. If you can go back and say, did I actually drink yesterday? Because I don't remember. And you can do that. So there's a little bit of customization. I think you can pick which friend that you grow after you've used it for a while and developed more coins inside of the app. There are paywalls, I think, to choose different friends and unlock different features, which is not ideal, but usually comes with the territory. Just to mention, seasonal food guide, no paywall. It's just free. It just tells you what's going on. And then the rainbow food tracker, I'm also pretty sure doesn't have a paywall. The most that I would think you have to pay for is to remove ads, which, so for that one, there might be a bit of a fee to have more diverse plant friends. And then there's also Aqualert, which is a little bit customizable to your specific self and what you actually need to be drinking. I think it asks more in-depth questions and you can adjust the amount. To my knowledge, I haven't gotten much of a chance to play with that one because it's hard to use 3 hydration trackers simultaneously. But trial and error. If you think that that one would be best for you, go ahead and try it. I was really happy to see that it has this meter that you can kind of see fill up through the day. And then on the right, it has the different sizes because I will look at a cup and be like, I don't know how big this is. But this will give you kind of an idea there to select your size. And then the final one is water tracker and drink reminder, which is a long name for an app, but I think that it was worth including because you can put in different types of drinks. So if you're like me and you drink tea most of the day and not straight water, you can still put it in there and it still counts and it'll calculate how much hydration that is. Or it'll at least like put it towards your count rather than just not counting it like I do because it's tea, so I don't know if it counts. So I really appreciate that. It also does have a little meter on the right. You see a little dewdrop friend, which is a combination of the best of both of these, I think, because it has that meter and a little friend. So there are some good things about this one. And I'm not sure about paywall with either of these. I think it's the same level where you might not be able to be as nuanced in it and you might see ads, but usually the free version is going to be still enough to track your water intake. The good thing is with these apps, you don't necessarily spend a lot of time on them. You're just implementing when you do drink or what you do eat. So the interface and the ads don't really matter too much because you're not on it all the time. So any questions about the hydration trackers and our little plant friends that we can water?
I imagine that it's kind of hard to get in the habit of remembering to record that. Are you mostly waiting for it to like notify you with a little prompt that you should be drinking something?
Yeah, so I think that's a really helpful feature that I would feel confident saying all of these have. They do periodically notify you. Even the workout apps will notify you. I downloaded Fitify for about 3 days and then deleted it because it kept notifying me. So I do tend to wait for that notification to show up. Or if I'm just on my phone anyway and I'm taking a sip of water, then I'll kind of see what I'm doing and then hop over to that app and put it in. So it really depends, and it depends on the person. I know some of these apps in their description page before you download it will say specifically that they do try to notify you a lot. And if that's what you prefer, then definitely seek that out for your app. I know for a fact that Plant Nanny does notify pretty consistently, and also the water tracker and drink reminder had a disclaimer about how it notifies you a lot. So So yeah, that's really helpful too because it reminds you. See, water tracker and drink reminder because it spams you. So, so yeah, that's a good thing that's a good question because a lot of people might be concerned that they'll be notified too much or too little. So it's good to keep that in mind when you're picking your app. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so our last section here is our sleep trackers. I have a lot less experience with this because I just got a new phone in between planning and delivering this class, so I haven't been able to use any of the sleep trackers. This is really for people who are curious about what happens when they're sleeping and how deeply they sleep. I know Sleep Score is kind of more about tracking, but also has a smart alarm, which sometimes people solely download it for. I've heard mixed reviews on the smart alarm. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The concept behind that is they want you to put in the latest time that you're supposed to be awake by. And then from that time to half an hour prior, they'll track your sleep. And when you're at the lightest sleep and the best to be woken up during, they'll set the alarm off. So I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard people say that it always goes off at the end, like when they have to be up by. And that could be that it's not working, or that could be that they're just a very heavy sleeper that doesn't have much of a light cycle. So it's just a fun thing to try if you ever want to. And if you want to try it on weekends when you don't have to be anywhere, or you don't really have to be anywhere in the mornings, then it might be a fun thing to try and see how that alarm works. Sleep cycle, which is this bottom left one, does the same kind of thing, but I think it has a more in-depth tracker, as you can see on the right-hand screenshot. It has that throughout the night kind of ups and downs, and it has all of these things that it tracks: heart rate, when you woke up, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty convenient. And then Sleep Genius, I've heard, was kind of a really hyped up one because NASA, I think, worked on it. So people were really interested. And I think the main part of it is just tracking your sleep. So it'll, when you wake up and you look at it, it'll just tell you in depth how your night went. It won't necessarily try to wake you up, to my knowledge. It'll just kind of give you tips. That's the big thing about this one. After it tracks your sleep, it will give you tips on how to sleep better and kind of where your trouble spots are. So if you're snoring a lot, it'll tell you how to help yourself not to snore so you don't wake yourself up, for example. So it's just kind of an interesting thing if you ever want to track that, because fitness is kind of an overall thing. So if you are trying to be mindful of your goals there, to be more well rested, well hydrated, eating a variety, there are some apps out there to help you. So yeah, does anyone have any interesting sleep stories or sleep app comments, questions?
I tried the sleep cycle. They have like a free trial that was so many days, like maybe 5 days or something. And so I tried that earlier during the pandemic, and it was very interesting. And actually, I wasn't sure whether I snored or not. And so now I know that I do, because they also give you little audio clips so that you know, or you would know if you talk in your sleep or not. So if you're just curious about whether how many times you're sort of waking up in the middle of the night or whatever, it would be a way to find out for sure.
Yeah, I think this one's more, I mean, it does give you tips and kind of help you know about your sleep and what you need to improve. But I'm sorry if you hear scratching. That's my cat going nuts on her scratching post. But it is kind of more of an interesting thing to know, and it does give you tips to help you sleep better. I will say, thanks for mentioning the paywall there. I did notice that for the sleep trackers, especially since it's more all or nothing with them, I feel like they do have more of a paywall. So if you do want to try them, you can try them, but to use them in a more dedicated sense, you might have to pay a bit more for them. Which usually, I mean, it might be a subscription, but if it is, it's usually not a large cost. It's not like like Amazon Prime, it's closer to a Netflix subscription. So that's just a thing to keep in mind. But they are kind of fun with that free trial, which they always offer to try to capture you. All right.
JC, are these all something that you just leave your phone by your bedside? You don't connect anything to your body?
I would ask Stacy that. Did you have to connect it to anything?
So for sleep cycle, there was the option that if you had like a smartwatch or something that was already tracking your heart rate or whatever, that it could coordinate with that. But I don't have such a thing. So the only thing I had to do was I had to make sure that my phone was plugged in and positioned in a certain way so that like the microphone was near where my face was sleeping, so that it could try to pick up the sounds and movement and whatever. And so, so I think in JC's example, like maybe there's a heart rate statistic, like I just didn't get that statistic because I didn't have anything keeping track of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there was a sleep tracker in the Fitbit app up there. So I think it does give more detailed responses if you can connect a smart device, but if you can't, I don't think that's required because this would be tied to a specific device because they are very territorial about that. I think because when I was looking, there was Samsung Sleep, and I think that was geared towards like Samsung wearables, like the watch and things. Okay. My cat just brought her chirping toy to me, so sorry about that. Any more questions about the sleep tracker apps here? Some scientific experiments in the future, maybe? All right. So with that, this was kind of a bit of a shorter class, which I apologize for. Normally I have more demonstrations, but I can't really share my screen with my phone. So I just want to talk a little bit about using these. So what now that you have kind of an idea of the options you have for your apps that you could use? So take into account your routine. If you don't really have much of a routine, then some of these might not work, but some of them might work better. So if you don't have a routine, the water tracker would be nice because it's reminding you and you're trying to develop that habit. If you do have a routine, that yoga would be great because when you wake up, you can do that right away. That 7-minute workout, you can tuck that into your schedule, things like that. Your goals. So if you're coming into this class thinking, I don't really want to work out, I kind of just want to see what's out there, then that rainbow food journal would be a great option if you just want to see what you eat and how it looks on a rainbow scale, as well as the sleeping apps. If you just want to download one and see what happens, that's always a thing you can do. If you do have fitness goals, those specific apps under the Fitify, you literally just search the type of thing you're working on. So if you're working on upper body, search upper body in an app store, and Fitify will advertise that app to you. So just keeping an eye on your goals. It also is nice to know what smart devices you have. So if you have a wearable such as a Fitbit or a Galaxy wearable, and you know it'll kind of help you with some of these apps, then it's really nice to add. I think I had my Fitbit when I was using those Fitify apps, and it kind of showed up on my watch while I was doing it, if I'm remembering correctly. So just keeping in mind what you have and what you can connect to, just to know what you can get the most out of. And then finally, your learning style. So some of these, what I forgot to mention is that for all of these apps here, you can easily substitute them with a YouTube video, if I'm being completely frank, because the yoga and the workout apps will go through and time your workout for you and have those exercises that you can customize and kind of set that way. But if that's not the way that you operate and you just want to know a quick workout that you want to see demonstrated for you, YouTube is going to be the best app out of all of them. And you just look up high intensity training workout if you want to do a quick, like a calorie burning workout or things like that. So just keeping an eye on your learning style. Like I said earlier, trial and error is best. There's so many apps that I downloaded, like I said, 3 water trackers, and it just, I couldn't handle it. So you can start with one and see how it does. And if it doesn't notify you enough, switch to another one and just kind of see how that goes. If it makes you sad that your plant friend might wilt because you haven't drank enough, then you might want to switch to a different app, and you will only know that by trying it. So,
May I ask a question at that
yeah.
point? I'm not, I admit, very experienced at trying new apps. A little bit nervous about it because I fear I will not understand what they're saying, what I'm agreeing to, and then I might end up with a $500 bill. So are most of these, is it very clear where you call it the paywall is and what is possible to do free and when I'm stepping into something that's going to cost? Is that pretty clear even to those of us who aren't as into apps?
Yeah, so what I will say is it can be clear that you are agreeing to something that is paid, but it can be tricky in that what will happen is when you're first setting up some of these apps, I had an experience where I would hit login, like with my Gmail or something, and then immediately after it would pop up with a premium subscription, like pop up, where the button to agree to pay for it was right where my login button was. So like if you're just tapping mindlessly, you might hit it. So with that, usually they have a double confirmation before they charge you.
Okay.
It depends on how your phone is set up. If you have your Google Pay set up and you don't have to confirm, it's a one touch for your apps, it will immediately charge you. So if you don't have that set up, it will have to get your login information and go ahead and get permission first. So I would kind of just, when you're setting up these apps, take it slow and read. With them, common things you can do before you hit a paywall is make an account. Just giving them an email and a password and your first and last name will be completely fine. Once they start saying premium, maybe Stacy, if you think of any other words, let me know, but definitely premium.
Or maybe pro. Sometimes it's
Pro.
pro.
Yep, any of those like higher level sounding buzzwords, those are when you're getting into that territory where you're gonna start hitting that paywall. I'm trying to go back, there was, yeah, so get premium right here if you see this screenshot. Oh, I wanna make that bigger, hold on. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm just going to. And
Okay. Yeah, we can see it.
yeah, so with that, you'll see here it says get premium and then it has that dollar amount there. So it usually will say straight out if you are going to be paying something, it will give you a dollar amount there. What I'm worried about sometimes is this small text. Sometimes it'll say recurring, sometimes it'll say one time. So you know, that'll also affect your decisions there. That's why I own most of these apps, because they're just one-time purchase. So
to back up on one thing you said,
yeah,
you said usually it's okay to give your name and email. That's not causing you all kinds of connections you don't want. It's usually okay.
yeah, so with that, I mean that more as they won't charge you if you give them that information. They may send you emails. So definitely, I'm kind of more cavalier about logging into things. I usually try to find the send me email updates thing and uncheck it. But that's just because I do this a lot for work and for my own app addiction. I don't know. And so, but it might be easier for other people to kind of read first and really know that you do want to try this app for sure before putting in that login information in case you don't want a bunch of emails. But for sure with that email and name and password that you're just setting up an account with the app, account doesn't mean you're paying for anything quite yet. You have to see that dollar amount and agree to it first.
It's that moment when you're adding something and it says, do you want to create a login with us or log in with Google or log in with Facebook? Or like it gives you those options where you wouldn't have to type in your email address. And I also try to default to not using those pre-existing accounts, and I'll just give them my email address and my name, maybe my birthday, whatever. And then I know that they don't have access to anything with my credit card information like I might have used for my Apple login, my Apple ID, or things like that.
Yeah, so if you are reckless like I am, and you just always log in with Google, I press that button every single time, and my pay information is actually connected to that account, so it does give it access to ask me to pay. And since I have one push enabled, I can click it and pay for it immediately. But I will say I only do that because I navigate these apps so much that I can recognize a paywall miles before it comes up and hits me. So definitely, like Stacy said, avoid the pre-fill logins, and they can't connect your pay information unless you tell them it.
This is strange, new for me, like what you have on the screen right now. Would it be safe to click on custom workouts or unlock workouts?
So with that, to give a bit of background, I got to this screen because I was clicking around in the app. So I clicked the 3 lines in the top left, and then, okay, so to back up, it was at, sorry to give you whiplash, it was at one of these screens.
Okay.
And then I clicked on that, and then I think I clicked on, yeah, so I clicked on that, and then it pulled up a little side menu, and then I clicked on custom workouts. And that was on an app that I hadn't bought, so it pulled this up. You can only do custom workouts after you pay. So that is pretty common in these. If you try to do something or click a button, and if it pulls up something that says get premium or get pro, that's when you're hitting that paywall. So yeah, sometimes it only happens if you're clicking around in the features, and sometimes it'll ask you for premium every time you open the app. So it really depends. But with that just giving them just your email and just your name and creating a unique password for that app, there's no way for them to tell like what your payment is. And usually for even Google, I have to hit get premium, and then a Google pop-up will pop up and say, do you want to charge your Google account? And then I'll say yes or no. And without having to log in, which is the danger point, that I don't have to give them my password every time.
So that's the financial angle. The other thing you seem to be mentioning, Arliss, is just general security. So if you're right to sort of be thinking, is it safe for me to give my first and last name and my email address to this company? In general, there's not a lot someone could do with that information that would harm you. If they just knew your email address and your name, it would be hard for someone to somehow benefit from that. So I think it's fairly safe to do that when you register for an account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that reassurance.
The most they'll do is just annoy you. But I mean, they can't do too much with that. So that's a plus. I'm gonna slowly cycle forward so I don't give anyone whiplash. Does anyone have any more related questions to that conversation? Paywalls are very dangerous, so as you kind of navigate apps, you'll kind of figure it out a bit more. Okay, great. So yeah, I will walk back my if it doesn't work, there are many options comment, because I want to clarify that. I was kind of saying this earlier, but definitely take a look as you search for these apps in your Google Play Store or whatever the Apple equivalent is. I really need to educate myself more on Apple devices, but I just don't like them. So as you're looking through your app store, it will give you a description of the app that you're about to download. It'll give you screenshots of some examples of it and kind of its features. Another thing that's good, if you really are wanting to not have to cycle through different ones for that trial and error, I found a lot of these in New York Times articles. A lot of online magazines will do top rank apps for this. So that's how I found a lot of these that I wasn't aware of before. So that's definitely a way you can do your research, you can read the descriptions, and you can narrow it down to what you think you like, and then you can download it so that you're not putting your email into so many apps. I'm too far gone to be that careful anymore, but it definitely is worth it And I am trying to be better, I should say. So it is worthwhile to do your research a bit more. Yeah, so use them as helpful tools, not requirements or strict regimens. So I don't know if I spelled that right. We don't want you to come into a very restrictive lifestyle where you wake up, you do your yoga app, you eat breakfast and you track it in your food rainbow tracker, and then you go about your day, and then at lunchtime you use Zombies Run to do a run, and then you have lunch and you track your lunch, and then you go grocery shopping later and you use seasonal food. That's not necessarily the point. It's more just to help you out. So seasonal food guide, just educate you while you're making your grocery list. Yoga, if you want to start out your morning doing yoga, it's a great option. Is that a chat that I can't see?
Nope. But I just want to say that I don't know how many other people are missing being able to go to a gym. And
Mhm.
so I see this as this could be sort of a replacement for a little while. If the app doesn't come with a reminder, you could set a reminder on your phone and do your little workout until things get kind of back to normal. And you have other external things helping you remember to move your body.
Yeah, I will say honorable mention for fitness app, because it helps you stay organized, is Time Tree. It's this calendar app that you can actually share with people. I use it because I usually am doing a lot of things every single day, so I can share it with people. And I can put little reminders there. I put a reminder after I got vaccinated. I put in a reminder, time to visit mom, and I go out to see my mom at that time. So Time Tree is a good way to remember that. And like Stacey was saying, I mean, even before the pandemic, I pretty much exclusively use these apps because I'm socially awkward and I don't want to go to the gym if I don't have to. So it's a great way to kind of remind yourself to treat yourself well, whether that's working out, drinking water, seeing how your sleep is, finally settling that argument on if you snore or not. So yeah, it's just kind of a helpful thing.
JC, may I suggest a couple of apps that I've been using?
Yeah, of course, please do.
One is has to do with flexibility and mobility,
Mhm.
and it's called ROM Coach, ROM, and then Coach. I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. And I'll also write it down to include in the follow-up email. ROM Coach.
I just put it in the chat for everybody there.
All right, I'll go ahead and stop screen sharing so I can participate a little bit more. Okay, thank you.
And then another one that has to do with food. Those of you that are really focusing in on specific nutrients of food items, it's called Chronometer.
Yeah, I think I
And if, for example, if you were on a limited salt diet, you put the foods in there and it has thousands of foods in its library, and it knows how many carbs, how many, cholesterol level, salt, all that stuff is in there, and you can have a total then at the end of your day. Oh, I see where I'm at.
That's great, Arlen. How does the ROM coach help you with flexibility? What does it have you do?
ROM Coach is put together by Eric Wong, who has a precision something website. But anyway, he has different exercises that you do every day, and they rotate depending upon what area of the body you're interested in working on. So, for example, one exercise is simply putting your hands behind your head and trying to get your hands as far away from your head as you can. And these are all exercises that I hardly see in any other app. So it's really unique. And it's a free app, but there are in-app purchases that you can do for programs and that sort of thing. But I've really increased my flexibility using this app.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. There's a ton of apps out there. So if anyone has used any that they really like, feel free to mention it. It's just hard to keep track of all of them because sometimes they're titled like straightforward things like, what was it, abs and core. And then other ones are like ROM Coach, where you're a little more unsure what it is, but it's definitely also worthwhile. So thank you.
Arlen, what's the time commitment on the ROM Coach? And also, is the chronometer free or is there a cost to that one?
The excuse me, the chronometer is free. There is a paid version that you can use to share with your doctor or nutritionist or whatever. And the ROM Coach, as far as time, I think it's 3 to 5 minutes a day for that. And of course, you can do as many as you want, but I have it set up. It just reminds me every day to do my flexibility exercises, and it works out very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've also used the 7-minute workout, JC, that you had mentioned in there. I like that one. It's really good.
Thank you. I haven't gotten a chance to try it, so I'm glad it's a good option. With a lot of these, I will say the time commitment in general is very flexible. With the 7-minute workout, it is that workout. But for example, the Fitify options, you can do as many or as little iterations of your workout as you want and time it to be a certain amount. That's actually the first thing you see. With those screenshots I was showing where it said like the different breakouts of workouts, you click that and the next thing you see is a wheel, and you just slide it. You can start at 5 minutes and go, I think, as high up as maybe 30. So time commitment is really flexible in a lot of these apps, which I appreciate.
The 7-minute fitness one isn't literally just making you exercise for 7 minutes, or is it? Is it 7-minute increments? Arlen, maybe you know best.
It is 7 minutes. If you want to make it longer, go for it. You know, there's options that you can add in, but if you go through it as it's timed, and it is timed, so you're done in 7 minutes.
Okay, I had an exercise DVD once that was a 10-minute workout, and that was misleading. they
Yeah, not 10
expected
minutes,
you to
yeah.
do it multiple 10 minutes in a row. So
Fake news.
mhm.
I will say, to clarify with that interface that I was showing where it has like the person doing the exercise, the name of the exercise, and then how much time you have left, there's the exercise screens and then there's a rest screen. It does just have a person like sitting or like laying down or drinking water and then like rest and then your time for the rest iteration. So it does, especially, sorry, my kitten's trying to make me leave the call. She's pressing buttons. So they do put in that rest time for you, thankfully, because you die otherwise. So yeah.
Were there any other apps that anyone would like to share or recommend or say that they didn't like if you've tried something?
I have a set of Bowflex dumbbells, and Bowflex has a workout app that you can do a 6-week challenge, which I'm going to be finishing up tomorrow. And it has rest built in there. But what I do during the rest time is I do some of my flexibility exercises. So I double up the routine so I'm not really resting, but I'm stretching, which is kind of resting. So that's something I've learned to better utilize my time. You know, for me, I can't sit down for 30 seconds, just do nothing to rest.
Yeah, I've definitely used the skip arrows on the Fitify apps to skip past a rest before. So
Okay, well, any other comments or questions? There will be an email that will come maybe tomorrow with just a survey link, and maybe JC will have a little follow-up information. So you'll feel free to reply to that if you have any questions that come up in the meantime.
No paywall on the questionnaire, right?
That's right.
I hope not. If there is, it's all donated straight to the library.
I just want to say, JC, you did a great job. You're very clear and fun and informative. I really enjoyed having you as our leader very much.
Thank you. I will say, this was actually my last class with Iowa City Public Library.
Oh,
So
no.
thank you for having me. I'm moving on, but I hope my cats weren't too distracted this class.
What are your plans